Jump into the panel, I'd like to ask our panelists to introduce themselves. So let's start from me.
Hello everyone, my name is Gordon O'Neill. I'm the CEO of Goldfish.ie. We're actually based in Wicklow, not Dublin. Sorry, just to be clear, we had to clarify that. But we provide cloud-based telecom services, as in traditional voice over IP, as you would know it, to all sorts of companies, from people who work from home to offices that have multiple sites and multiple locations, in fact in multiple countries and continents, right up to companies who run large call centres and contact centres, again across multiple locations. The business model is very simple for us. We try and reduce risk, and we try and create a flexible environment for people to grow their business and to scale their business and to benefit from the flexibility of having their telecoms environment, whether they be a small company or a large company, in a secure cloud-based setting and not relying on local infrastructure.
And the first topic is around 1, 2 or 3 practical tips or frameworks we use every day. Gordon?
So my input is somewhat similar. Tools are very important, and we have a policy in our office where everything we do is cloud-based, not just our own products, but any products we buy from any other vendor or any tools that we use in the office. We have no infrastructure in our office except for a firewall, a router and a switch, and that means that we have the ability to work from anywhere. It gives a level of disaster recovery for us in the event of disasters, which, while thankfully are rare in this country. We know there was a hurricane last week, which unfortunately 3 people lost their lives. The reality for us was we had an inbound sales number and an inbound support number, and we had to close the office. It wasn't safe for our office to be open. So we still opened for business as normal because all our own tools obviously helped, but the other tools that we used to run our business were all cloud-based, so our staff all worked from home and they worked as they would have done in the office without any interruption of service to our customers. So it gives that level of flexibility that helps people to do their job without worrying about having on-site equipment, particularly for smaller companies that might only have one site. It's a big risk if you've got stuff that you require to do your job in your office in one location. So that's the first thing. You touched on culture as well, Sid, and it's very important for us. I'm lucky that when I started the business back in 2010, one of the decisions I made after I moved out of the spare bedroom, which is where everyone starts, but when I actually had to get an office, I said that I would only get one in the same town that I lived in because I was not prepared to commute anymore. So I had a flexible approach to time and place of work, and we have that culture in our office. So, for example, if my salesperson's target is to make X amount of sales per month or bring in Y amount of customers per month, do I care that he has to do that between 9 and 5:30 sitting at the desk? Or if he can do it at 8:30 at night after he's put his kids to bed, or she has put her kids to bed, or at 8 o'clock in the morning after the gym, it makes no difference to me whatsoever. So I don't like the idea of tying people to fixed times. As long as they're doing the work and you can trust them to do it and they get the results, well, really, where they do it, I don't care. How they do it, I don't care. Within reason, obviously they can't do anything illegal or something I don't approve of. Or when they do it, I don't care. One slight caveat, you have to have the right people, because that doesn't necessarily work with everyone. So you need to make sure, if you want that culture to work, you need to make sure you have people who are happy working in that environment and can deliver what's expected of them in their role in that environment. So the 2 biggest things for me would be cloud-based everything you possibly can, and create as flexible a culture as possible in your office environment or wherever it is. And to help with that, I finally gave in to 10 years of nagging from my daughters, and we got a dog a year ago, and we decided we didn't want to leave the dog at home, so we bring the dog to work for at least half the day. And Simon, my colleague who's videoing here, has 4 dogs, so he brings a different dog to work every day. So we encourage our staff. So we now have dogs running all over the office, which sounds a bit chaotic, but it's amazing. It's very, very hard for people to have a heated disagreement in front of an animal, particularly a dog, because the dog actually comes up and starts going and getting in between them. So it has calmed the office atmosphere down fantastically. So, you know, a flexible approach, an open-minded approach to what would not be a traditional office environment can really help.
Thank you, guys. I think that it's related to our next topic, because when we work remotely, when you work from home, and I used to work like 3 years and used to run 20 people company for 3 years without any office. I had a lot of distractions in my home. For example, to go and buy something from the shop, or to clean something, or to find out that okay, I will skip this email and then do something else. And in my opinion, on the early stage startup, remote work it's not working. In my opinion, there's tremendous information and tasks to share and things to talk about, and it's very difficult to do this remotely. Maybe not to exchange information, but I think that one of the CEO's role is to give an energy to the team, like to interact face to face, to give people some power. And it's very difficult to do this remotely because you have a lot of distraction and you don't have this face-to-face old-school contact too often. So I wonder how you deal with this. You Gordon said that you work remotely, so could you share it with me?
Well, yeah, I accept your point. I don't agree with some of it. So I think that the two key considerations if you want to have people in your organisation working from home are, first of all, what is the role of the person? And secondly, what is the type of the person? So certain roles are suited very well to working remotely and others are not. I think those roles where people make decisions about what they're going to do in their day, or they have a lot of flexibility in how they might approach their workload, can be problematic as a role. Roles that work really well for us, for example, are inbound technical support agents. So they're in a queue, which is managed by our system, so the calls come in, they get allocated to the agents. They're going to get calls. So they can't be in the supermarket, or they can't be wherever. Now, they can go to the bathroom, they can take their lunch break, and they do all the normal things, but they set their state to be, I'm not available, so they're not available. I also have a big wallboard up on the screen, which shows the state of the agents. They're either ready, they're not available, or they're on the phone. So that sort of role, first of all, is suited to it because their workflow is controlled by something other than themselves. Other roles obviously may not be so well suited, but the other point is in the roles where it's not as clearly defined how they're going to get their work done during the day, it comes down to the type of person. So I have in the past worked for larger companies before I started my own business where I managed large teams, and it was a big issue for us. Some people wanted to work from home, and there were some people who I would happily have let work from home because I knew they were the sort of people who would get on with it and get the job done. But there were other members of my team who, under no circumstances would I let work from home because I knew they'd do absolutely nothing, and they'd either be in the supermarket or in the coffee shop or playing with their children or walking the dog. So we actually had a real problem, and HR had to get involved, and we had to write a policy, and the policy basically threw it right back on me and said it's at the discretion of the manager. So I had to take the very hard decision to say, unless there are exceptional circumstances, we won't have working from home. But that was down to the type of business and the type of role, and unfortunately a few people within that organisation who would have wrecked it for everyone. So yes, there are cases where it doesn't work. I'm happy to say that the situation I'm in now, it works really well. So as a concept, I'm a big believer in it, and I think the tools are out there, not just ours, there are all the tools that are out there now that enable people to work from home, but there are some, and I hope few, situations where it isn't practical. Trust, exactly. So actually, I'll bring that up a higher level. You've got to hire the right people, you've got to trust them and empower them to do it. We're all businesses, we're all companies, we're all trying to generate revenue, and we either sell services or products. At the end of the day, we're selling them to customers, and the biggest mistake and time-wasting exercise that people can make is making assumptions about what their products and services should be. And really, your customers are the best people to tell you what you should or should not be doing. Now, that doesn't mean you accede to every single customer request, but I learned in the early days that we wasted a lot of time developing features for our products that we thought were great. And they were typically decisions made by me and by developers because these are really great features. And then we realized, well, what do customers want? They don't want features, they want benefits. So we actively listen to our customers in terms of feedback and what they want from what we offer them, and we don't assume that by rolling out a new feature or to the customer a benefit that is going to generate more revenue. So from the outside you want to generate the revenue, but the only way you're going to do that is by providing a product or a service that your customer wants. So it's really important that you don't waste time on vanity projects, as we call them, things that we think are really cool but the customer doesn't want.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but on the one side, I think the customers are really good at identifying problems, but they're really bad at finding solutions. So still, the organization, because they think about their own needs, not everybody else. So inside our organizations, building products, we still should have some decision-making flow or people who will manage to.
I agree with you. So I mean, what comes from that process is a list of customer requirements. That doesn't mean that we deliver those requirements. We then have our own internal process to prioritize requirements. We have a quarterly development life cycle, and we start with a list of 1 to 10, for example, and then we review it and we see how many we've implemented. And what we really find actually by the end of the quarter, what might have been number 1 could be down at number 5. So priorities change all the time. But the actual list is usually derived. Most of the requests come from the sales team, and then we fight with the developers about which ones they're going to implement, and that's the way it goes.
Great. Let's open it up because we are almost out of time. And so, do you have any questions?
I've got a question.
Oh, okay, sure.
I am shit at email. Like, I'm rubbish at email. I have tried everything, and I get swamped. I am not even treading water. I am drowning. How do you do it?
I have a solution which is quite brutal, which a previous boss of mine said about 15 years ago. If it's more than 10 days old, delete it.
But then how do you get to it before the 10 days old stage?
Well, you presumably have tried to read it at least, and acted on the ones that are important. But if it's in your inbox for more than 10 days, your inbox shouldn't be a filing cabinet, first of all. It should be moved out and do something else with it. But if it's in there undealt with after 10 days, just delete it. If it was important, they'll send you another one.
To wrap it up, I think that I would like to ask you a final question, and 30 seconds for answer. If we met here in 5 years, I know you did. What do you think we would discuss talking about work smart and achieve more?
It's a bit of a follow-on here. Automation is very important. Automation and integration. So we talked about the tools we use and the systems we use to make our life easier. For me, the integration of those tools is a huge topic, both in our own tool set, but even the ones that we use from other providers. And the more you can get your different products talking to each other, so if your CRM system is talking to your phone system, and your CRM system or another system is talking to your HR system, you're removing a lot of the day-to-day grunt work, as you said, the stuff that no one wants to do. So if the machines can do it for you, happy days. So I think that's really automation, and I'm not talking about AI stuff here, I'm just talking about process automation, tool automation, and integrating all of them. So back to my original point, if all your tools are in the cloud in the first place, most of them are integratable with all the other tools that are in the cloud. So for me, integration should be what we're talking about in 5 years' time.
Thank you guys, thank you Sid, thank you Gordon, thank you Niklas, thanks for coming, and thank you very much. Have a good day.